Yes, friends. Now I would like to invite you for lecture series 5 of Unit 2, the commercial banking structure and function. In this lecture series, we will study the fund transfers and tools used in net banking transactions. The fund transfer system and the tools for of net banking transactions. So these are the additional advancements in the banking technology. So these banking technology advancements have brought a lot of changes in the functioning of the banking system in India. You might have seen earlier to this, the transactions between the two banks used to happen physically. That is, the people movement from one bank to another bank, a check movement from one bank to another bank, and fund transfer used to happen manually by entering the records in the books of accounts by both the banks through the telephonic, to letter communications, and later on it has developed to the telephonic communications. But in spite of this, there was a lot of time taking for a transfer of funds from one bank to another bank. That is why most of the time the bank reconciliation statement which was prepared in the banking in the organizations, companies, the bank reconciliation statement was calculating the outstanding payments made by the bankers, or the transaction to be settled were shown separately in the banking in the books of accounts. For example, if the check is deposited in the bank but the deposited check has not been collected, many a time this was taking a months together or 15 days together time in earlier days. That is why bank reconciliation statement was prepared in the earlier days very seriously. Till the closure of the books of the accounts, these accounts were not settled. But nowadays, because of the banking transactions and all that, you might have seen that the fund transfer happens in the fingertips or maximum within a day. So that is how the fund transfers and net banking activities are improving because of the technological advancement. Let us understand what are the different fund transfer systems and the net banking transactions. And in this regard, also we will see the tools of the net banking transactions like ATM, debit cards, and credit cards. It is just a common sense subject, the basically, because all these things are being facilities are being used by you students also in the bank. So you might have already experienced. Now theoretically we will just see and understand what it is. Now let us see the fund transfer, what you call as a fund transfer system in internet banking. That is, there are three ways of fund transfer. One is called ECS, Electronic Clearing System. Second one is RTGS, Real-Time Gross Settlement. And third one is NIFTY, what is called NEFT, National Electronic Fund Transfer. What is this ECS, Electronic Clearing System? Many a time you have experienced that you might have seen the bankers' services today for paying out the insurance premium of their customers through their bank account. So once the ECS mandate is given, so an agreement is made between the banker and his customer, saying that the banker has to pay every monthly or every quarterly the insurance premium generated on behalf of the customer. So here the banker accepts the mandate of payment from the customer, and regularly he pays the money from the account of the customer to the concerned insurance company as a premium, in the form of premium. So this ECS is automatically clearing the fund transfer from the customer account to the insurance company's account every uh, time interval. For example, monthly, quarterly, yearly, 6 months, like that. So the mandate is raised by the insurance company to the concerned bank, reminding that the fund has to be transferred from the customer without the knowledge of the customer. Once the customer gives an agreement to pay the money, banker, without notifying the customer, will debit the account of the customer and credit the account of the bank insurance company. Not necessarily that the insurance company should maintain an account with the same bank. Insurance company may be having a bank account in another bank. So here the fund transfer happens, the settlement. It is the mode of electronic transfer of funds from one bank account to another bank account using the services of a clearing house. Here in between there is a clearing house which is used. Clearing house is a particular the setup of organization which takes the what do you call as responsibility of settling the accounts of the two bank accounts. Clearing house is an agent middleman in between the two or cluster banks where when the paying bank notifies the information to the clearing house. Clearing house will have an account details even of the paying bank and the receiving bank. So transactions are settled electronically and the clearing house will make an adjustment of the accounts and transfer of fund happens electronically, automatically. So this is how the new advancement in the field of banking technology. It is used for affording credit to a large number of beneficiaries by raising a single debit to an account, such as dividend, interest, or a salary payment. ECS can also be used today for paying the money from one bank account with one single what you call as paying note to a several members in the list. For example, if the dividend has to be paid by the company will just notify its bankers for ECS transfer. If there are around 1,000 customers needs to receive or investors needs to receive the dividend will be automatically credited to the accounts of the respective bank accounts, which is submitted by the customer to the bank. This is also called as what called as a bulk transfer from one single account to many accounts. What we call as even salary disbursement today the companies are making to be making to their custom to their employees. Earlier, the salaries were given in the form of check to the several customers. Every time the check was issued individually to their customers, to their what do you call it, employees. But today, the bankers are used in between. The banker is told to transfer the money. The list of the customers and their bank accounts are given to the banker. Banker will electronically transfer the money to their respective accounts. So this is what we call as electronic clearing system. When there is the customers if they want to transfer, this is for the what you call it, organizations and all that. ECS is normally done, but for individual customer settlements and all that we have one more system in the banking called RTGS technological system. What is RTGS? RTGS stands for real-time gross settlement. Real-time gross settlement refers to when the customer approaches a bank for the transaction or a transfer of funds to some of the other friends' accounts and all that. Individually, the accounts are settled by the banker. So it is the continuous process of settling the payments of an individual order basis without netting debits with the credits across the books of a central bank. That is example of bundle transactions. See here, you need not require to wait for the time. Once the customer approaches the bank under RTGS facility, immediately within a fraction of a minute, the money will be transferred from one account to another account one account to another account. This is what we call as real-time gross settlement system. In this real-time gross account system, settlement system, an individual can transfer the money to another individual with on a regular basis, on easy basis. This is what we call as RTGS. We have one more facility called NEFT, National Electronic Fund Transfer. Here, the customer who wants to transfer the money has to approach the bank and pay for the transfer, request for the transfer of the funds from his account. Now, in this case, banker does not transfer the money immediately. It is not a real time. That is the same time transfer of accounts, where the customer has to wait till the number of customers approach the bank. If the band of the customers comes in that lot, the lot for transfer takes place. That is, say for example, if X approaches the bank for transfer of funds and if X is the first customer, the 10 customer band is made and the amount is transferred at the one shot through that Nifty. Banker will tell the customer to wait till 9 customers join. He will ask the customer to wait for hours together or maybe a day together. After that collection of the total number of customers, the transaction is effected. Here in this case, transfer of money will take a little time where the Neft will charge a very less amount of transfer cost to the customers, whereas RTGS will charge lot of money for the transfer services of the funds. So there are these three important types of transfer of funds from one account to another account. Now we will understand the difference between RTGS and NEFT. What is the difference between real-time gross transfer and real-time gross settlement and national electronic fund transfer? If you see, on certain basis, we can identify the differences between the Nifty and RTGS. The first one is meaning. NEFT is a system of online money transfer where the payment is made in uh, real time basis. Near real time basis means after the customer approaches, the nearest time will be taken into consideration for transfer, not on the same time where the customer approaches. RTGS on the other side is an electronic funds transfer where the funds are transferred at the same time when the transaction took place. That is what it is called as real time, not a near real time. It is a real time. If you see the technological implementation, NEFT, NEFT, and that it is a National Electronic Fund Transfer, it came into existence in 2005, whereas RTGS in 2004. Basis is deferred net settlement, whereas one to one. Deferred means the total settlements are made after the collection of the funds from the group of customers. On one shot, these group of customers' money is transferred by the NEFT, by the NEFT facility, National Electronic Fund Transfer System. Whereas in case of RTGS, single customer's transaction is immediately implemented for the transfer. So this is what the basic difference. On this basis, we can differentiate between the national fund transfer and real-time gross system. So in this real-time gross system, the cost of the transfer is more. And then if you see the business hours, the Nifty is on all business days. The banker will help for the customers on all working days except second and fourth Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Except this, the on all working days, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. is the time allotted for NEFT. Whereas working days for this thing is 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The RTGS is not effective after 4:30. Any transaction of RTGS has to be made before 4:30 p.m. because after 4:30 p.m. final settlement of all the transactions by the clearing house is being made. After that, no RTGS is allowed. Whereas in Nifty, fund transfer is effective from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So this is how the working time. Then the settlement cycle, if you see 12 settlements in working days. The settlement times in the sense every hourly the banker is collecting and whatever the money has been collected in an hour is effectively transferred in Nifty. Whereas in RTGS, no such settlement periods are there. Continuously, as and when it is received by the customers, immediately it is effective. Operates on hourly batches. That is RTG, NEFT is operated on hourly batches, whereas the RTGS is on real time, on the time when the customer approaches the bank for the transfer. Now the fund ceiling, if you see, in case of Nifty, no such limit, but the maximum amount per transaction is restricted to rupees 50,000 for based payment within the country and payments to Nepal. If it is within the country and Nepal, maximum amount of 50,000 at a time can be transferred in Nifty. Nifty. So Nifty is for less amount actually, and multiple amounts of 50,000 you can transfer in a separate transactions to your respective customers as a bank customer. But at a single stretch, if you want to send the money through Nifty, that is National Electronic Fund Transfer System, 50,000 is the maximum amount. Whereas a banker can transfer 10 to 15, 20 customers of this size. That is, there is no limit for the banker to execute the transaction. Whosoever the customer comes, he can send it. But for a customer, maximum money can be transferred to the extent of 50,000. In case of RTGS, the minimum 2 lakh, maximum no limit. So in case of RTGS, minimum if you want to transfer money, it should be 2 lakhs. Maximum has no limit like that. The money can be transferred to a maximum limit also. Then appropriate for this RTGS is used for high value transactions, whereas Nifty is for a small volume transactions. Processing is comparatively slow in case of Nifty. Processing of a fund transfer by the banker is slow in case of Nifty, whereas it is very fast in case of RTGS. These are the basic differences between the RTGS and Nifty. Many a time the question has been asked for 7 marks in the examination. Please be aware of this. ATM, another important thing that you have been already experiencing. In every corner of the city, you could find ATMs today, even in big bazaars, even in any good malls, and even in the good hotels and all that, grocery shops. You will find out ATMs. Not only this, in the every corner of the streets today, you are finding the ATMs of one or the other banks, and even some private banks are also like Bandhan banks and what you call this, Bharti Bank. Many banks, even cooperative banks, are also today holding the ATM machines. What is this ATM and how it functions? Let us understand a little bit in this discussion. An automated teller machine is a computerized telecommunications device that provides the customers of a financial institution or bank with access to financial transactions in a public space without the need for a human clerk or a bank teller 24 hours a day. ATM means some people say it is all-time money. It is not all-time money. It is an automated teller machine. Automated teller machine in the sense earlier the tellers were sitting in the bank. Tellers means the people involved in the bank transactions, representatives of the banks, providing the services to the customers in the bank. Today the tellers are not sitting in the banks. They are sitting in the corner of the street. But today tellers are not the human beings. Even tellers are the machines today. Tellers are the machines today. So machine is providing the services of a human clerk or a bank teller, and the service is available for 24 bar 7 in at any even in the night also. If the customer is in need of money, he can go to ATMs and collect the money. So the banking services today is not restricted to banking timings. It is provided to the convenience of the customers at all the time. So how this ATM machine and what is the history of the ATM machine, how it came to existence? The ATM was invented by Scott John Shepherd Barton. The world's first ATM was installed. So he's Scott Friend Barton was the first person to invent ATM machine. He's basically a mechanical engineer who has invented this machine, which is working like a robot in the banking transactions. ATM was installed in the branch of Barclays Bank in the northern London borough of England in 1967. He is an England man of Irish England person, and he invented it. And the first ATM machine was introduced in the Barclays Bank, and it was like a magic machine for the people in the England in 1967. So if you see the history of the John Barton, uh, born in on 23rd June 1925 in Shillong, British Raj, Assam province, India. Actually, he is an Indian man, though he is an England person, but he born in India in Shillong, British, during a British time, Assam province in India, and died on 15th May 2010, aged 84. So Stephen Barton joined the law. So please read the history of this person, not necessarily in the examination point of view, but in the general knowledge and even any of your competitive ABPS exams and all that. These questions are normally asked. Please pay attention to this. Now, if you see the growth of the ATM, when the ATM came into existence in 1967, it was not having a so much attractive because people or banks encounter a lot of problems in the transactions. But when all these problems were resolved through net banking and facilities, because ATMs works on internet facilities. But in India, when internet has come out in a wide way, so you could find out the growth of the ATM machines very fast. If you see in 2011 March, the ATMs were hardly what you call as 10,000, less than 10,000. Now, if you see their ATMs by March 2019, you could find out they are more than 225 lakhs, or touching around 250 lakhs in India. Note March 2000 data excludes up to 2000. This is the data that has been collected from Bloomberg, that is from Reserve Bank of India database. If you see the functions of ATM, the concept of ATM is 24 bar 7 into 365 days. It means the function provided is throughout the day, throughout the time, throughout the year. That is what the efficiency of the ATM machine. Today, human beings cannot work so effectively even during the night, but machine is so alert and providing the services to the customers. If you see the next important function, flexibility of using ATM of other banks, that is, we can make transaction from any ATM while our account not in the same bank. Okay, for example, if you have an account in State Bank of India, the withdrawal can be made from the Citibank, ICICI Bank, or any other bank where the transactions are routed through ATMs. Then can recharge their mobile phones, then prepaid connections, etc. through ATM cards. By using the ATM card numbers on any of these apps, you can recharge your phone accounts. For example, you have a phone pay, you have some things. ATM cards are providing this because this transaction is routed through ATMs. So, paying the bill is possible. Money transfer from one account to another account is also possible. Check the balance of the account at any time. Whenever you want to know your bank accounts, use the cards and ATMs, and ATM will give you the transactions. 10 transactions. Also, nowadays there is an advancement. You can see the 10 important transactions, debit or credit, from your bank account. So that is how the ATMs are providing. Register their mobile number for account details, any of the account details if you want to register. All that registration systems have been done. Deposit the check or cash in account. Even now today, receiving ATMs are not only providing money, it is also accepting the payments. Now checks and all that can be understood by the electronic device like ATMs, and it is taking a collection of the checks. And even if you want to deposit money also, you can deposit from the ATMs. That is how the transaction deposit the checks or cash account is possible. Change the PIN numbers of your secret codes of your ATM cards is done through ATMs only, and purchasing items is also being done through ATM cards. So these are all the various services functions that ATM and ATM cards are doing. How to use ATM cards? The customer is identified with inserting a plastic ATM card with a magnetic strip, or a plastic smart card with a chip that contains the unique card number and security that you can easily see if you are using your ATM cards. I think everybody does it. You could find out the black strip on the backside of the ATM cards, where the black strip is nothing but it is a transaction related aspects. So this a plastic magnetic card will help you to decode the transactions in that particular magnetic card. So any ATM card can easily read it and understand it. That is how the one ATM card, when you use it, where the ATM card writes the transaction on that particular magnetic thing, and it is when you go to another machine, the other machine will read that. So there is a common reading facility of these barcodes by the ATM cards. This is what the way of this is. Security is provided by the customer to by the customer entering a personal identification number, that is PIN. PIN refers to personal identification number. Every ATM card is providing this facility. The ATM card, when you insert it, the ATM machine will ask for the PIN. If you do not punch the appropriate PIN on the ATM machine, the card will not be read or card will not be accepted, even if it belongs to you personally, because the identification of the authenticity of the person is understood by the ATM through the secret code. So the PIN is must, and the same PIN, if you implement it, if you punch in the machine, it will understand. If the pin is not matching with the pin that you have entered and the pin that is stored in the ATM cards will not be matched, the customer will not be provided the services. This is the safety measure. The ATM calls up the bank's computers to verify the balance, dispatches the cash, and then transmits the completed transactions. The ATM is going to help that in the way it calls. It is connected to the server of the bank. ATM, all machines are connected to the server of the bank. When you insert the card, automatically the ATM will transfer this message to the server, and server will open your account and give the details to the ATM machine. This is how the ATM works. Now the structure of the ATM is a little technicality that we can understand how the ATM machine is having a various parts in it. One is keypad that you already seen. Once you insert, there is a keypad where the numbers are mentioned and even the alphabets are mentioned. Normally, alphabets are used for secret codes and all that. Numbers are used for entering the value of the money that you want to transact it. There is a speaker inside. If at all any kind of instruction to be given, insert the card, withdraw the card, don't touch the card, enter the pin. All this information is provided by the ATM machine to the customer operating in front of it through the speaker. So there is a speaker. If the speaker is not receiving the information, it is only giving the information. It is a one way. Display screen is there, receipt printer is there, cash dispenser is there, central processing unit CPU is internally inserted, magnetic or chip card reader is there, secured crypto processor is there, function key to touch the screen, vault, housing. All these are the various facilities that you can find out in the various parts in the ATM machines. So you can see the picture here, what are the various parts in the ATM machine. Now, requirements of the ATM. The important requirements for the functioning of the ATM are of two types. One is hardware requirements and second one is software requirements. Hardware requirements are the processors, RAM, hard disk, monitor, keyboard, mouse, all the computer parts are required. Minimum RAM is 512 MB or more because at least 15 to 20 previous transactions of the customer has to be read by their ATM machines. So to collect and all that information and display on the screen with a resolution, it requires a minimum RAM of 512. If it is less than that, it is too slow and may not be useful in the transactions. If you see the hard disk, minimum 20 GB or more hard disk is essential to collect the information of the customer, store it and provide it to the bankers. So that is how the minimum software package itself is more than 10 GB in any hard ATM card. Therefore, hard disk is noted. Monitor VGA or SVGA color monitors or black and white monitor depends on that. Keyboards, 104 keyboards to enter the informations and all that, because sometimes the internal information has to be fed by the banker to the customer, these ATM machines and all that. For that, separate keyboards are maintained inside the ATM cards for giving the instructions and all that. Then software requirement, operating system is most essential. Front end Java, applet. See, the database systems and all that are installed by the bankers in their particular ATMs. So based on this software, it functions, and this software is very much protected, where it cannot be easily destroyed or changed by any third person for the security reasons and all. It is a highly secret password. These softwares are developed. If you see the advantages and disadvantages of ATMs, I need not require to go in detail. You can easily understand what are the advantages. If you see the advantages, ATM supports voice, video, and data following multimedia and mixed services of a single network. So therefore, it helps more for it is more helpful for even blind people to operate the ATMs. One, and even uneducated people can also operate by listening to the words and acting accordingly on the ATM machines. And it provides the best multiple service support, supports delay close to that of uh, supports the best multiple service supports. Multiple service supports refers to transfer of funds or even accepting the deposits, providing the account balance information on the screen. All these multiple functions it provides like a teller machine. It is not only for what you call as uh, withdrawing the funds, like then support delay close to that of dedicated services, supports a delay close to that of dedicated services. Any services which is delayed, it will continue immediately after the next transactions and all that. So this is one. Able to use all common physical transaction path like sonnet and all that. Able to use all common physical uh, transmission path. Cable can be twisted pair coaxial for fiber optic. So this information is passed through fiber optic very fast. So fiber optic cables are used inside. So it provides a fast services. Ability to connect LAN and WAN, local area network and wide area network, both are being connected. Therefore, ATMs can be used for transacting even international transactions are also, because WAN is also possible to be connected through these advanced ATMs. Legacy LAN emulation, legacy and LAN emulation is providing the services of the international times ATMs. So even in the foreign countries also, you can withdraw the currency of the country and use it through your Indian local ATM cards. So if the ATM card is having the international identification, it can be used anywhere throughout the world where that concerned country's currency, you can withdraw it from the ATM accounts, and settlement will be done through Exim banks and all that. That much of wide settlement possibilities there in the ATM cards. Efficient bandwidth used by statistical multiplexing and all that. So efficient statistical informations are also transferred. Therefore, it is more accurate. ATM machines are more accurate. It does not get mutilated or providing any false information because of the statistical accuracy through technological development. Higher aggregate bandwidth and high speed Mbps and possible Gbps and all that. These are the technicalities. If you see the disadvantages, flexible to efficiency is expense at present for any one application. It is usually possible to find a more optimized technology. Flexibility to efficiency is expense. If you want more efficiency, more cost is involved. So the customer has to involve the cost for undertaking a transaction. For example, if you withdraw the money and all that, there are free withdrawals to certain extent. After that, it is charged too heavily for the customers for withdrawal or transfer of the funds. Then cost altogether it will decrease with time over a period of time. When it is being used, technology becomes common, it will be reducing cost. Now in India, when the technology is spreading out very fast at a cheaper rates, now the cost of managing the ATMs are not so heavy with the bankers, but only the minimum transaction has to get involved there to cover the cost. New customers, premises, hardware and software are required. Another disadvantage is anywhere new ATMs are to be implemented. For new customers, premises, bandwidth, everything is required, software is required. So there is an investment of money from the banker for maintaining the ATM cards. Competition from other technologies, there is a huge competition because old ATMs are not so frequently used by the customers. They prefer to have advanced ATM machines, so the advanced ATM machines are implemented by some competitive banks to attract the customers for the transactions. Presently, the application that can benefit from ATMs such as multimedia are rare. The way with all the premises of the ATM capability details are still in the standard process. So these are the disadvantages. Now, if you see the types of the ATMs, there is various types: online ATMs, offline ATMs, on-site ATMs, off-site ATMs, mobile ATMs, biometric ATMs, talking ATMs, ATMs for blinds, and drive-in ATMs. If you see the online ATMs are connected to online with all the banks. Real-time transaction happens there. Offline, in the sense, these ATMs are having a certain stock of money, and they come to when the ATMs reads and only that much of money is transferred. No online transactions are involved in this. On-site ATMs, in the sense, in the specific site the ATMs are uh, fitted into, that is called on-site ATMs. Off-site is the ATMs. On-site ATMs are the ATMs inserted in the bank premises itself. They are called as online on-site ATMs. For example, State Bank of India is having a ATM in their own bank premises. So this is what off-site in the sense other than the place of the bank, the ATMs are installed in any corner convenient to the customer. Mobile ATMs refers to the ATMs which are moving from one place to another place through vehicles and all that. So it comes in the morning at a certain place, customers can use it and it again moves to some other places like that. Such kind of things are also available in developed countries, but in India, these mobile ATMs are very less. Mobile ATMs are used only when there is no possibility of installing the ATM for all the time. When the space has the problem, then in such cases, mobile ATMs are normally used. Biometric ATMs are the ATMs which will be operated through biometric, not with the card, because biometric information contains all the information instead of the cards, or sometimes even the card is used, but to open the card and all that, it asks for the biometric, that is a physical body identifications like thumb impressions or eyelid readings and all that. Then talking ATMs having the speakers and it gives instructions to the customers how they have to behave. And ATMs for blinds are all separately developed because the buttons and all that will be having a skin sensitivity type of a things. It will give the oral instructions to the customers. That is for the blind. Driving ATMs refers to without getting away from the cars and all that, you can use the ATMs. So they are inserted in such a nice place in the roads that the cars while entering into can just pass by the ATMs, stop in front of the ATMs and withdraw the money without getting away from the vehicles. So these are called as drive-in ATMs. So in most of the country, in India, you could find out online ATMs and offline ATMs in most of the places. Yes, problems faced by the customers and banks and ATMs. Problem faced by the customers, if you see, they don't receive cash while the account is debited. Sometimes it happens that the ATMs, if they are not well developed, sometimes the money is debited to the account. Withdrawal happens, but the money is not dispensed because money stock, if it is over, sometimes the customer face this kind of a problem, and bankers have to be complained about this, and banker will settle it later on, but it takes a lot of time and most inconvenient to most of the customers, those who are having the less deposits in their bank accounts. Then they don't receive cash while the account is debited. One problem, wrong insert the ATM card. This problem is more common with new ATM users who are not familiar with ATM cards. Many a time if it is wrongly inserted ulta, it is going to destroy. They don't receive a slip of account balance, money transfer problems, and all that problems faced by the bankers. So these are all the various kinds of problems faced. Safety measures while using the accounts, that everybody knows this. Use the pin, don't write down your pin, and observe the surroundings. So these are all the various safety measures. So here we will end this lecture and we will see the remaining aspects in the next class.